Today, we're diving into the word cherishing. For years, we've talked about appreciation on this show and how it strengthens marriages. But lately, we've just been wrestling with that word. And frankly, it's not quite strong enough word for us.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I appreciate a good steak, a good movie, but my marriage, our 33 years together, is something more sacred and more irreplaceable. So cherish is the word we've chosen for today's episode because it carries the weight of truth. It rings true to us.
I agree. And cherishing is truly the most vital skill that you can cultivate in your relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And interestingly, it's harder than it sounds. Cherishing is the antidote to something called entitlement, which we're going to talk a lot about today, which is a common but toxic mindset where we fixate on what is owed to us, what's owed to me in my relationship.
That doesn't sound good.
And this can distort our marriage and ultimately steal our joy.
I love that. So today we're going to unpack what cherishing truly looks like, why it's the foundation of love and happiness, and we'll talk about how to overcome these human tendencies that hold us back from cherishing one another. Coming up next on Master Your Marriage.
Well, welcome back to a brand new episode here on Master Your Marriage.
Welcome, yeah.
So let's kick things off today with a hypothetical question. And we invite you guys to play along with us as we ask this question.
Do I get to play along too?
You do.
Okay, cool.
So if I said to you, turn to your spouse right now and tell that person 7 things that you're deeply grateful for. 7 things that just mean the world to you in your relationship. What would you say? Now, be honest. Do you feel just a little bit anxious or panicked right now to come up with 7 things?
Some might be.
Would part of you hesitate or feel a little resistant or like, why should I? When you think about opening up to your partner in this way?
Okay, so now I'm picturing some of you squirming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I want you to do is sort of just flip that. And instead of 7 things that are wonderful about your spouse, I'd like you to find 7 things that you'd like them to improve upon.
Ouch.
Now, how much easier would that list be?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, let's be honest here. It's pretty easy to come up with 7 things that your spouse can improve upon.
Oh, yeah.
And this begs the question.
Yeah, I think for most people, it's like, oh, yeah, here I go. I've got my list ready to go already. So 7 things. I mean, here's 20, right?
That's in the notes app on your phone.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So why is that? Why is it so much harder to express the things that we value, the things that we hold dear, than it is to say, rattle off a list of all these grievances that we hold? So let's just sit with that feeling for just a moment. Just get really curious about why this is. And so that's where we're starting out today, because this question points to something profound, I think, about cherishing. Okay.
All right. So we talked about cherishing. Let's define the word. So cherishing is the active choice to see the value in all that is good in our relationship. It's a willingness to acknowledge all of the ways that our spouse makes our life richer, more full, and better, and how their efforts, their presence, and their goodness, and every action that they take is really improving our lives.
Absolutely. And cherishing is truly the most powerful practice that we have at our disposal. You know, other skills matter, things that we talk about here on the podcast a lot, things like speaking and listening and communicating wisely.
Yeah.
All of those things we've covered many times on the podcast, and they are vital for collaboration. They're vital for creating solutions together and finding a win-win together. But cherishing, honestly, nothing is more powerful than cherishing. It's the number one skill. It takes what we already have that is good in our relationship, and it nurtures it and it expands it and it amplifies this beauty that is already there between us. So, Robert, do you remember last weekend we went camping?
Yep.
We took the trailer out. We went down to Capitol Reef. Dallin was sleeping in. You and I were up early and we were just talking, and you said something really sweet. And do you remember what it was?
I don't know, but we should write it down if I said if it was sweet. I like this.
You were talking about the things that I do related to just getting ready to go on a camping trip.
Yeah, so much.
What did you say?
I think I'd walked into the bathroom and I saw there was like the towels were folded and in the bathroom. And I think about, some of the roles and responsibilities. My job is to get the trailer there intact with water and hookups and all that stuff. But if it weren't for you, I just have an empty tent.
Mm.
And the fact that I think we take these things for granted, that there's a fridge that has been stocked and there's food and there's drinks and there's meals that have been planned. Even though we talk about it, I didn't have to spend that much time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the magic coffee table, if you've seen that, where the guy's like, I don't know, I just put dirty dishes here and it disappears. So it's sort of like the magic trailer. I mean, not completely, but I just, I shared that I appreciated the fact that all the work that you put in on the backside that made it possible for us to have a great trip. Like, I get hungry, I go to the fridge. Guess what? It's magic. I open it up. There's food there.
Mm-hmm. And I really appreciated that you said that, because honestly, when I look at the amount of effort you put into getting things ready to go and getting us safely there, from checking the tires and getting the gas and hooking everything up and making sure we have fuel, and all these things are just like over my head. I could never do it by myself. So for me, I felt like stocking the fridge and washing the towels and having them folded in the bathroom is like such a simple little thing, but it felt really good that you noticed.
It's not such a small thing, right? So it's human nature to take things for granted. And it's also human nature to go blind for what we actually have.
Mm-hmm.
We all think getting what we want will make us happy, but that's not really true. The truth is, it takes no skill to receive all of the good things in life, especially if they just happen for you.
Mm-hmm.
However, it does take a lot of maturity and wisdom to value the things that are present and that we already have in our lives.
That's right.
So think about that. It takes nothing to have good things given to you, but it takes a lot to cherish, because it's not something that actually comes natural to us,
Mm-hmm.
especially in relationships.
It doesn't. But it does seem to come naturally in relationships. Entitlement.
Oh, yeah.
Entitlement.
Yeah.
Entitlement is kind of the opposite of cherishing. And entitlement is somewhat seductive.
Oh, I deserve this.
And compelling.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyone can do entitlement. It's really easy to focus on what we think we deserve. Right. I think as a species, we're just really good at doing entitlement. It's tempting for us to fixate on what we feel we're owed. I deserve this. This is owed to me. But it's also costly. It comes at the cost of missing out on the incredible beauty and the goodness that already exists in our lives and in our relationship.
I love that. The beauty and the richness that exists.
It's there.
Yeah.
But when we feel like, oh, I deserve more, do we miss it?
And also, of course, this is costly to our relationships. When we start to see all the kind and good things that our spouse does for us as this given, like it's supposed to happen, then we actually stop cherishing those things. So the trailer example, if I just assume that there's always going to be clean towels and the fridge is always going to be stocked, then I start missing the gratitude and I don't cherish your effort or your contribution. And then not doing that is really at my own peril.
Yeah. Like, okay, Robert, he just fixes all the things around the house, and he does. He's an incredible handyman, and that's just the way he is. So it would be really tempting for that to just become his baseline. And so I don't appreciate it anymore. Or if your wife is someone who does all the family grocery shopping and that's just what she likes to do, it would be really easy to just see all of that work and all that effort as baseline, and instead focus on, well, what haven't you done for me lately?
Yeah.
What have you done for me today? So it can be easy to live in that state of entitlement. And as Robert said earlier, become blind to all the good that enriches our life every single day.
Exactly. And there's a term for this. It's called hedonic treadmill. It's the tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness despite major positive experiences. For example, if you were making, let's say 50K a year, and you think, man, if I only made 100K, I'd really make it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you make it 100, then you're like, if I only made 200K, then I would be happy. You're just kicking the can down the road, right? So our happiness spikes in the moment when we have this good thing. And then we acclimate to this new baseline. And then we're really no happier than we were before, because we keep chasing this happiness.
Yeah. And I'm sure we can all relate to that and see that at some point in our life. And,
absolutely. Yeah.
And so it's sad. I was thinking about this woman that I met. I'll share in just a minute, but I was thinking today, sadly, it's often not until someone dies that we appreciate what was there all along.
Yeah.
So this woman I met, this was something that happened probably 25 years ago. And I was doing some work with her, and she had lost her husband suddenly to a heart attack. And it was unexpected. They were still young in their 50s, vibrant, seemingly healthy. And they finally felt like they had gotten to this point in their marriage and their relationship where, like Robert said, now I can finally be happy. we can retire soon. We have more free time. We can be happy. And I have all of these things, but then suddenly he was gone. And, at that particular point in time, she wasn't sitting there pointing out all the little flaws that maybe she would have complained about. All she could talk about was the things that she missed and the things that she cherished.
That's so amazing. And what's interesting is cherishing is less about what our spouse does for us and more about what their presence does to us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's a simple fact that they are there and they are present to share this life with you, this relationship with you.
So we want to help you be able to assess how much cherishing is really alive in your relationship.
Ooh, I like this test.
The Gottmans, this comes from the Gottmans, Dr. John and Julie Gottman. They don't use the word cherishing. They talk about fondness and admiration, which is a little funny kind of word, I think.
Yep.
But they've created a 20-question assessment to measure how much cherishing is really happening in your relationship. And so we're going to walk through this assessment with you. You can just keep track on your fingers, or if you have a piece of paper, you can jot down your numbers. This is a self-test, and all you'll need to do is answer true or false for each of the questions that Robert and I are going to ask. And you only need to keep track of your true answers. So
Right.
If it's true, make a tally mark.
Yep.
And
Only the yeses.
And then at the end, we're going to share what your score means. Are you ready?
I'm ready. How about you?
Okay.
You
All
ready?
right. So here we go. Do you want to start us out?
Yep. Okay. Number one, I can easily list 3 things that I admire most about my spouse.
Number 2, when we are apart, I often think fondly of my spouse.
Ooh, yeah. Number 3, I will often find some way to tell my spouse that I, quote, love you.
Number 4, I often touch or kiss my spouse affectionately.
Number 5, my spouse really respects me.
Okay. Number 6, I feel loved and cared for in this relationship.
Number 7, I feel accepted and liked by my spouse.
Number 8, my spouse finds me sexy and attractive.
Number 9, my spouse gives me great pleasure in our physical relationship.
Number 10, there is fire and passion in this relationship.
Number 11, romance is definitely still a part of our relationship.
Number 12, I'm really proud of my partner.
Number 13, my spouse really enjoys my achievements and my accomplishments.
Number 14, I can easily tell you why I married my spouse.
Number 15, if I had to do it all again, I would marry the same person over again.
Number 16, we rarely go to sleep without some show of love or affection.
Number 17, when I come into a room, my partner is glad to see me.
Number 18, my spouse appreciates the things that I do in this marriage.
Number 19, my spouse generally likes my personality.
And number 20, our physical relationship is generally satisfying.
All right, so now add up all of your true answers, and here's what the Gottmans say about your score. If you have less than 10 true answers, it means that fondness and admiration are low and probably working against the happiness and stability in your marriage. If you got between 10 and 15 true answers, then fondness and admiration are significant, but you could still develop a more cherishing to strengthen your marriage. And if you got between 16 and 20 answers, then cherishing is a source of strength. And this strength is what makes your marriage less vulnerable to stress.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because when you value and care about each other and you share in this cherishing, this basic thankfulness, then research actually shows that you will handle stressors better as a couple. You'll handle stressors that are inside your marriage between the two of you. And you'll also handle those stressors that are going on outside the marriage better. So what about you guys at home? How did you do? Is cherishing an area that needs work in your relationship? If so, you're not alone. A lot of couples struggle with this, and it's something that we've struggled with in the past.
Yes.
That's
been tough. Yep.
There has been a time, and specifically, I remember looking back to a period of time when I was very much stuck in entitlement. And again, we got married, and you start with that love without knowledge phase. And then you start to see all the ways that your partner is imperfect. And that baseline shifts a little bit. And then all of a sudden you start to feel disappointment, disillusionment. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, what is it that I deserve? I deserve more.
That's a slippery
I'm,
slope,
I'm
isn't it?
owed more than this. And I specifically remember this period of time when I remember thinking one day to myself, this was the shift. I remember thinking initially how lucky we were and how lucky I was to have Robert in my life. And then I kind of remember maybe, I don't know, a year or two into our marriage thinking, actually, he's the one that's kind of lucky. He's the one lucky to have me. And that was that beginning of that entitlement.
Yeah. And if you let that grow, then it's going to rob your marriage of joy.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what the antidote is then.
Yes.
Right. If we have this entitlement, the antidote to entitlement is gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude counters our human inclination to live in the state of what we're owed. But why is it so hard to choose cherishing over entitlement? Let's talk about maybe a few of the reasons that are relevant.
Yeah. So as we sat down and looked at this, I think there's a lot of reasons, but I think there's 2 or 3 really big reasons why we get stuck in entitlement. And first, I think cherishing requires vulnerability. I think when we let our spouse truly matter to us, there's sort of a feeling of exposure. If I say to Robert, you mean everything to me. I'm so grateful to share this life with you.
Ooh.
You bring goodness to my life. You make my life better. When I say that, it feels a little bit like I'm bearing my soul. I'm bearing my heart. And it's a lot different than, try this on as a comparison. You know what, Robert? You're just kind of doing what you should be doing as a husband. You're just doing the things that you promised me that you do.
Yeah. I don't know why you're getting any points for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why should I cherish something that should just be expected?
Because it's all about expected entitlement.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Absolutely.
I think there's just that vulnerability and letting someone really matter to us, that what if it's not reciprocated? Or what if I can't use that against you, right? I think there's just so much vulnerability.
Well, and I think that much like the trailer example, not that I needed to be super vulnerable in that moment, but I think if we spend our time, and if you'll take sort of the lessons in this episode to heart, if we spend our time looking for the good and calling it out, right? Like I probably didn't need to tell Charla that, it was nice to have the towels, but it was. And I'm a little bit vulnerable when I say that. Everybody's like, well, you don't have to tell her that towels were nice. Right. I'm a guy, I live in a trailer, I go to Burger King. But in the end, it is nice. It's nice to have those things. And I have to admit that I can't do everything myself, and that there are some wonderful things that you do in our relationship that really enrich and make my life more full.
That's a good point.
Right. So entitlement gives us the illusion of control. Almost feels as though if we hold back some of this appreciation, we can get the upper hand.
It does.
Right.
Why else do we tend to gravitate towards entitlement instead of cherishing? I think another one is bitterness and resentment.
Yeah.
I think these things keep us stuck in entitlement. And oftentimes we hold resentments over little things, small things, little expectations that we've placed on our spouse that we've never told them about, things that we expect them to do that we think we deserve in order to be happy. And what's ironic is that some of these resentments, hilariously, and we'll talk about an example, they often stem from little differences that drew us together in the first place. So let me explain.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We all tend to choose a spouse who brings the yin to our yang, right? Someone who's wildly different from us. For example, I tend to be pretty laid back. I like to go with the flow, not the one who's generally has a big list of things that I've planned out, because I sort of like.
Oh, no, you don't. It's absolutely true.
I sort of like just seeing what happens if we just go with the flow. Maybe we'll meet somebody cool, or we'll find a cool restaurant, or we'll find something that an opportunity that we would have never.
And we've had absolutely amazing adventures when we do that.
We have.
If I had let go of the controls a little bit.
Yeah. But sometimes that actually backfires. Like there was this time that we traveled Europe and we went to Norway. It was kind of the last leg of our trip, and we wanted to see the fjords, and only to find out, because I had planned a lot of this particular trip. I think since then Robert's taken the reins, but only to find out that I actually hadn't booked our train tickets in advance, and it happened to be a holiday weekend. And so we couldn't get train tickets.
Yep.
So then we ended up having to change our entire plan for Norway just at the end of this trip. But Robert, on the other hand, he doesn't really go with the flow. He's learning being around me. I think I bring that into his life a little bit more, but he's a planner. and he's dependable and he's prepared and he's structured. And I call him my Boy Scout because if we ever break down on the side of the road, he always pulls out, he's got like a Mary Poppins bag that just goes and goes and goes of tools and parts and mysterious things that just somehow he's going to have the right tool to save the day. And so we're pretty different in many ways. And most of the time he values and cherishes my low key personality, but honestly, it gets frustrating.
Well, yeah. I mean, some of the things that I can do can be probably pretty frustrating.
And
Drives her bonkers.
I think one of the things that I love most about him is that I do have these things that probably drive him bat crap crazy, but he still loves and cherishes me anyway, even though I'm not a planner and he's a planner. You know, the funny thing is I probably do need his structure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who goes on vacation without a power cord for their phone?
Right. Me, every trip.
Every trip. Know? And that's why I packed 3. You're going to need one and lose one.
Exactly. So there's been times though that I would feel myself kind of resenting his need to be at the airport 2 hours early. I mean, that just makes me want to gouge my eyes out. Right? But then I remember he loves and cherishes our differences, my differences. And oftentimes he's really good at just laughing them off like, oh, there she goes again. You know, or guess we're going to be stuck in Norway without a train pass. You know, so why am I letting the little things bug me? Am I really going to sit here and feel bitter and entitled all the way to the gate and angry with you as we're sitting there waiting for 2 hours? Or am I going to remind myself that I married him because this is something that I actually do love and cherish about him and appreciate this about him most of the time?
Most of the time. I like that.
Most of the time.
Well, because it's true. It's not that your relationship with your spouse is going to be pain-free or friction-free.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can learn to just cherish those wonderful things about each other that bring this uniqueness to our relationship, that's where we should be instead of looking for the things that are wrong.
Or that I owed.
Yeah, or that I'm owed. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay. Third one would be humility. And this goes in hand with cherishing. Humility means realizing that there are times when I know I'm pretty much hard to live with. I get too many checklists and I want to be at the airport on time.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I wonder how she can even tolerate the things that, you know, my twitchiness when it comes to just managing those things. But cherishing doesn't always mean that we love every single thing. As we talked about earlier, mature love means choosing our flawed and imperfect partner and saying, you know, I choose to cherish and love you, even though I'm not sure that I'm going to get anything back in return.
Yeah.
And I'll care for you and appreciate you, even when I'm a little bit annoyed with the fact that you can't bring your power cord on vacation.
Right. Right. And I think the more we mature, 33 years is a long time, but I think the more we mature, the more we understand that no one owes us love. No one owes us cherishing. Robert doesn't owe this to me and vice versa. But the paradox is that the more we acknowledge that our spouse doesn't have to love us, the more that we tend to cherish their love when it's given because it's being given willingly.
Yeah.
And when we realize our spouse chooses us, flaws and all, and we have that humility, like, I know I'm hard to live with too. And they do that and they choose us day after day and they still try to bring goodness into our life that they don't owe us, which makes our life better. Then that's when we truly see each other and truly see the good in each other. And that's the kind of cherishing that makes our life so much richer.
Absolutely. The Gottmans have a checklist of characteristics that we use with couples. And we do this exercise where we ask couples to share the qualities that they cherish and that they love about each other. So I'm just going to give you a list of some of the things because sometimes the couples we work with don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And maybe in that category. So do you cherish some of these things and just see if they resonate with you? Like maybe you're outgoing or you're sensitive, you're brave, you're loyal, generous, organized, resourceful, thrifty, shy, expressive, adventurous, nurturing, relaxed, responsible, dependable. That would be me. I love how that one's last. Yeah. And what most people notice is that in the qualities that we cherish in the other person, they're sort of very different from the things, the qualities that we exude, that we live with.
Yes.
Right? They're usually the qualities that drew us to each other to begin with. And they're part of the reason why we wanted to share our life with this person. It's the yin and the yang as Charlotte talked about. Charlotte might have been drawn to me because maybe I'm overly prepared, and I might have been drawn to Charlotte other than the fact that she's smoking hot was, maybe the fact that she's a little bit more adventurous and she's a little bit less planned, and she brings that spontaneousness into our relationship, which I really love. And I love how it works out.
Yeah.
And then of course, if it doesn't work out, then I'm kicking myself for following along to begin with.
Yeah.
But I still love that nature about her. I just love that.
Yeah.
I love the fact that sometimes I have to check the fuel gauge in your car because
probably once a week.
Yeah. Because maybe we don't have enough gas.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny that the things that we love that draw us together can be the things that also irritate us the most.
If we let them.
Yeah.
If we let that grain of sand work with us.
The things that I need from you, the reliability, the dependability, the checklists, all that stuff, things that I never have been very good at. And they bless my life immensely. And again, if I focus on that grain of sand, of course, it will irritate the heck out of me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's return to our opening question. If we said, turn to your spouse right now and tell them 7 things you're deeply grateful for, 7 things that mean the world to you in your relationship, what would you say? And if you're still feeling resistance or you scored, below 15 on that admiration quiz, then this is a challenge area for you. It's an area that could truly transform your relationship. And I want to say that you don't need your spouse to do this with you. They don't need to agree to this act of cherishing. Your actions don't depend on them. This can be a unilateral decision. You can decide right now to show up as your best self and to start cherishing all the good in your relationship. This doesn't need to be something they need to do with you. Just express gratitude to your spouse each day for the ways that they show up for you. And that one simple decision could truly be the gateway to a stronger, more joyful marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't echo that sentiment enough, that just noticing the things about your partner that you really enjoy, that you love, that light you up, that fulfill you, that complete you. Just mentioning those things, just unbidden. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be a plan. There's not going to be a reciprocal action expected on this point. Just say it and walk away. That alone will change the course of your relationship.
It will.
Because how can you not be, if we played this out, how could you not be sort of softened by somebody who said things much like, not that I was trying to soften you on the trailer. I was just showing appreciation. But how did you feel after that?
It was surprising, unexpected. I didn't feel like I was owed it, but it felt really good.
Yeah. And I walked out the door. I had somewhere I had to go, but I just wanted to take that minute and tell you that.
Right.
Not like I was, hoping for something else.
This really
like
is something,
but.
This is something that can make a massive difference in your relationship. I really think it's the greatest tool at our disposal.
Yeah. And that's why we wanted to go with cherishing instead of fondness and admiration or any other word, because I think cherishing really gets to the heart of the matter in the relationship. It's sacred.
Yes.
It creates depth. It has meaning in your relationship.
Yes.
It's so cool. All right. Well, so that's a wrap for this episode. And if this episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you. Come on over to Instagram to find us at Master Your Marriage. And if you found this episode helpful, please leave us a 5-star review and also share it with someone who might need it. Have any ideas for future topics or ways that we can improve the show? We'd love to hear from you. So email us at masteryourmarriage@gmail.com.
This week, be kind to each other, put each other first. Remember, it's the small things done often, especially the appreciation, especially the cherishing, that make the biggest impact. Until next time.